Good evening. If I could have everyone start to take their seats, we're going to go ahead and call this meeting back to order. If you would please join us for the invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance.
Please pray with me if you'd like to. Lord, as we gather tonight to conduct the people's business, we are reminded that public service is both a privilege and a responsibility. Each decision we make carries an opportunity to strengthen our community, improve the quality of life for our residents, and help shape a brighter future for all who will follow us. Lord, we ask for wisdom in our discussions, fairness in our judgments, and respect for all perspectives that help make St. Lucie County a strong and vibrant place to call home. May we approach our work with humility, purpose, and a shared commitment in serving the public good. Lord, bless this board, our staff, and the residents we're honored to serve. In your name we pray. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we're going to go ahead and recess for our special district meeting. Is that correct? Go for it. Yes, sir.
We'll now come to order as the erosion district. At this time, if anybody has any general public comment for the erosion district, please come up to the podium. Seeing no one moving for the erosion district, we will close public comment and move on to the approval of the minutes from the May 19th, 2026 meeting. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. There's no further items on the agenda. We will adjourn.
All right, and that was erosion. With that, we'll go into mosquito control.
Yes, ma'am. We come together as the Mosquito Control District. First item of business is public comment. Is there anyone who wishes to address the board at this time? Seeing no public comment, we now have the approval of the minutes from May 19th. Is there a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor say yes.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes. Next is consent agenda. Is there a motion to approve consent?
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
There are no items on regular agenda, so we will move to motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All right, and with that, we'll come back to our regular meeting and start with our first of two presentations, the Carol Wyatt Memorial Christmas Kids Swim Lesson Donation.
Good evening. Hi,
Good evening.
I'm Annie Crumbo, and I'm here to present a check to the Parks and Recreations from our golf tournament, which is now called the Carol Wyatt Memorial Golf Tournament. Memorial Christmas Kids, I'm sorry. And we've just changed it this week. Anyway, this is for $7,200
Wow,
for
nice.
swim lessons and for water safety classes for our little ones. And they're performed at all three public pools in St. Lucie County. And although one of them's you're really utilizing two pools right now. Oh, you do have all three? Okay, good. Anyway, this is $7,200, and this is for Brian. Can I also say a few words because now I got to make some more money. And we have changed the name to the Carol Wyatt Memorial Christmas Kids, and because for 28 years, it has been Carol and Annie, and now it's just Annie. So I need a lot of help. My check right here for the swim lessons is just slightly lower than last year, and I don't want that to happen again. So I've got flyers here for an upcoming golf tournament, which will be at Gator Trace. as it's been for 28 years. And it's going to be on September 26th. I'm in need of golfers, sponsors. I need the sponsors. Also, anybody who has any connection with door prizes, golf gear, or anything like that, I could use that as well. Anyway, so that will be September 26th at Gator Trace. I have flyers here that has has information about the golf tournament, sponsorships, and what we do, what we raise the monies for. It's basically three things. Jack and I, my husband and I, took 92 homeless or underprivileged children back to school shopping this past last year's August. So we provide back to school clothes for the needy. We also do the swim lessons and water safety classes for the underprivileged, and of course we do our toy drive every year. So that's what we're doing. That's what we're raising money for. I'm going to have this one golf tournament in September, and then hopefully right after that, I should be announcing another golf tournament in the early 2027. Okay, but I have these here if anybody would like to.
All right, quick question for you. How do we reach you, or who do we reach if we want to do sponsorships or provide any of the needs that you just listed off that you're looking for?
Well, you know what? My husband and I were driving here tonight, and I said, you know what? I should have made a business card. But again, it's just been two of us for so many years, and now we lost Carol, and now it's just me, and we're one step at a time figuring this out ourselves.
So is there maybe an email or telephone number we could reach out to?
My flyers right here have my name on all three pages. Okay. So my name and my number, I'm sorry.
Okay.
And my email and my phone number.
Okay.
Everything's right here.
All right.
I should have brought more.
That's okay. We definitely appreciate everything that you guys do. It's so important. I mean, as we all know, we watch the news and we know there's already been over a handful of drownings of kids under the age of 5. So it's so important, the impact that you're having on our community. And I want to thank you very, very much for what you do.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Appreciate
Absolutely.
it.
Would you like to come up and let's do a photo?
Oh, picture.
I mean, she did my job tonight, so I thank her for everything.
Eric, grab one of those flyers so you can get a number.
Good for him.
We want one of those big checks.
Eric, get one of those flyers so you can put a number. Get one of those flyers so you can put a phone number, please.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, we have our clerk and comptroller with us this evening, Michelle Miller, for our financial review and presentation.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Thank you for giving me just a few minutes of your time. Every year we come to you and we present you with the publication of the annual financial report, which is a comprehensive report that is award-winning, and although we don't present a lot of those, we print a lot of those. They are on my website. It gives in-depth overview of our financials throughout the county. We also present with that, this PAFR is what we call it. It's a popular annual financial report. It's a very easy to read overview of county finances, where our money's coming from, where it's going, etc. So that's there. This year, and the reason why, Mike, raise your hand, yes. Mike is a graphic designer, and he is the one who has helped me, along with Michael and Eric, put together our inaugural debt report. When I'm out in the community, a lot of people ask about debt. How is it used? Why do we have it? Those kind of things. So this explains in layman's terms exactly why we have debt, how much debt we have, what it's being used for, how it's being repaid back, etc. And it's very, very easy for you guys to use this when you're out speaking with your constituents. So we have 1,000 of these printed. If you'd like them for wherever you're speaking, please let me know and we'll get them to you. So same thing with the PAFR. We have those for you as well. So please take advantage of these. It does help you explain, especially with all the budget talks going on, et cetera, what's happening with our finances. Please make sure that you tell people that this is 2025. Government always works a year in arrears for financial reporting. So any questions? Anything you want to know?
Any questions from the board?
Commissioner Cosby, you can't start with questions yet. Kidding. If you guys do review them and you have questions, please reach out to my office. I just wanted to make sure that you knew who was behind putting together this debt report. Mike and Michael and Eric really came together to do this. We are only one of 2 counties in the state of Florida that provide this kind of information to our constituents, which I think is really important to know. So thank you for giving me a few minutes of your time. And if there's no questions, I'll go ahead and sit down.
All right, any questions? No questions. Thank you again for all the hard work that you and your office do. These reports are fantastic because you are correct. A lot of the questions we ask is where does the money come in? Where does it go out? How much debt do we have? So thank you for doing this.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, we're going to go ahead and open it up to public comment at this time. Anyone wishing to address the board at public comment, please come up to the podium. You're going to provide us with your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
I'm hobbling along.
It's okay, you did great.
Okay. I'm Krista Story, and I reside at 4019 Gator Trace Road in Fort Pierce. So what I want to talk about today is earlier today, the Florida legislature voted to approve placing a constitutional amendment on the ballot in November regarding a cut in property taxes. In summary, the proposal increases the homestead exemption from the current $50,000 to $150,000 beginning in January 2027 and to $250,000 beginning January 2028. It's my understanding in many of the smaller counties and cities in the state, after 2028, no residential properties will be paying property taxes. And certainly the number here in St. Lucie County, I presume, will be reduced as well. To me, the proposal is the ultimate preemption tactic, gutting the major source of funding for local government. And I was disappointed to watch the proposal being supported by 3 of the 4 members of our county legislative delegation. No vote was recorded for Representative Trabulsi today. The public relations campaign that has occurred so far has offered the big carrot of a property tax cut without any real acknowledgement of the stick that may follow. The stick being potential reduction in services or fees increased or now charged to replace the revenue from property taxes. As someone who's worked in local government for more than 40 years, I may be a bit biased. But over the time I have seen the efforts of city and county commissioners try to balance the competing needs, wants of their residents with the available revenue. So I was really appalled over the course of the past 2 days as I listened to the committee hearing and the discussion in the chambers today to hear the spokesmembers for the proposals globally assert, among other things, that local elected officials have not been good stewards of taxpayers' dollars, that local officials do not work hard as members of the legislature when it comes to budgets and financial decisions. And then that is the rationale that was given as to why the governor and legislature needed to step in and offer this constitutional amendment. Between now and November, I think it is very important that voters educate themselves on the issue and the potential consequences of this. I know that city and counties cannot do anything more than provide factual information. It's illegal for you to spend public funds to be advocates. But it is really important, and the consequences of this could last for a long time. So I just wanted to use this as an opportunity to mention it to the public.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Okay, we are still under public comment. Anyone wishing to address us? Under public comment. Seeing no movement, I'm going to close public comment. And we have 2 proclamations this evening. We'll start with the St. Anastasia's Catholic School.
Resolution number 26-092, a resolution proclaiming June 2nd, 2026 as St. Anastasia Catholic School Centennial Day in St. Lucie County, Florida. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of St. Lucie County, Florida has made the following determinations. St. Anastasia Catholic School, located in Fort Pierce, Florida, was founded in 1926 and has faithfully served the community for over 100 years, providing a strong foundation rooted in faith, academic excellence, and service. For a century, St. Anastasia Catholic School has been dedicated to educating generations of students in the values of faith, integrity, leadership, and compassion, preparing them to become responsible citizens and servant leaders. St. Anastasia Catholic School operates as a ministry of St. Anastasia Catholic Church and is part of the Diocese of Palm Beach, partnering with families and the church to nurture the spiritual, intellectual, and moral development of its students. Throughout its 100-year history, St. Anastasia Catholic School has played an important role in the educational, spiritual, and cultural life of St. Lucie County and the greater Treasure Coast, fostering a spirit of unity among students, families, faculty, parishioners, and alumni. The centennial celebration of St. Anastasia Catholic School provides a meaningful opportunity to honor its rich history, recognize the dedication of its faculty and staff, celebrate the accomplishments of its students and alumni, and look forward with hope and commitment to the next century of Catholic education. Now, therefore, be resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of St. Lucie County, Florida, does hereby proclaim June 2nd, 2026 as St. Anastasia Catholic School Centennial Day in St. Lucie County, Florida, and encourages all citizens to join in recognizing and celebrating 100 years of faith, learning, leadership, and service provided by St. Anastasia Catholic School to the community and the Diocese of Palm Beach. Passed and duly adopted this 2nd day of June 2026.
All right, is there a motion?
Make a motion to approve Resolution 26092.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, we have David and the team from St. Anastasia here. Once you guys say a few words, please come up and we'll do some photos.
What a nice resolution that was. And I just want to thank, take this opportunity to thank the members of the commission for being great stewards of our county. And for this proclamation that recognizes the impact of St. Anastasia Catholic School. We've impacted thousands of students over the last 100 years, but hundreds of thousands of families that have been in our school. And I'd also like to thank the members of our community, the St. Anastasia Endowment Board members that are here, the Centennial Committee members that have worked all year on celebrating this 100 years and its rich history. St. Anastasia Catholic School has committed itself to faith, family, and excellence. My parents went to school at St. Anastasia. My grandparents went to school at St. Anastasia. Hopefully my grandchildren, I have 2 grandkids, hopefully they'll be at St. Anastasia. And it's just been a real rich history of ups and downs. I mean, we've had, just like the county, had moments that were really challenging over the years and moments that we're extremely proud of. Thank you for your support, for helping us with managing all this growth that we have in our community right now. We've got a lot of good things coming at St. Anastasia. For those of you who don't know our school, we're a pre-K 3 through 8th grade school that has about 600 students, about 100 employees, and we've been in our current location since 1960, but prior to that, you know, the old St. Anastasia building over on Orange Avenue, where many people were raised and grew up in that school. So I think schools are an opportunity for a lot of hope. There's so much changing in our world today, and we have to adapt to all the crazy changes that AI is bringing to schools, but also to the threats that are on our schools, for both material threats and physical threats, but also cultural and moral threats as well. And I feel like the families of St. Anastasia are just coming together this year to celebrate all the people who said yes to God's will, that God is at the center of our school and always has been, and always will be. And hopefully God will continue to be at the center of our wonderful nation and our county as well. So thank you for all that you do. We appreciate your service to our county, and thank you for this beautiful proclamation.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for being here.
Yep.
Please come on up and we'll do a photo.
If there's anyone here from Santa Anastasia that wants to join us in a photo, we'd love to have you.
Thanks, coming up.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Good to see you again. Thank you.
How are you?
And our second proclamation for Revive Awareness Day.
Resolution number 26-015, a resolution proclaiming June 6, 2026 as Revive Awareness Day in St. Lucie County, Florida. Whereas the Board of County Commissioners of St. Lucie County, Florida has made the following determinations. The opioid crisis continues to significantly impact individuals, families, and neighborhoods throughout our community, resulting in preventable loss of life and long-lasting emotional, social, and economic consequences. Over the past decade, St. Lucie County has lost 602 community members to opioid-involved overdoses, underscoring the continued importance of prevention, early intervention, treatment, recovery support, and access to life-saving medications like naloxone. Revive Awareness Day was established statewide through Senate Bill 66, known as Victoria's Law, to honor the memory of Victoria Siegel, whose passing on June 6, 2015 inspired a statewide movement to expand naloxone access, increase awareness, and prevent future overdose deaths. Preventing overdose deaths requires strong coordination among community partners and remaining committed to supporting prevention, treatment, recovery, education, and stigma reduction efforts. The opioid abatement team at the Florida Department of Health in St. Lucie County is committed to expanding access to naloxone, coordinating overdose prevention initiatives, supporting community partnerships, and promoting education, recovery, and stigma reduction throughout the community. Community members and local organizations play a vital role in supporting overdose prevention by carrying naloxone, supporting individuals in recovery, raising awareness of overdose risk, and serving as voices of hope and healing for those affected. Revive Awareness Day offers an important opportunity for individuals, families, and organizations to honor the lives lost to overdose, participate in acts of remembrance and healing, and engage in community activities that symbolize resilience, recovery, and our collective commitment to saving lives. Communities across Florida unite each year on June 6 to reaffirm their shared commitment to reducing stigma, expanding life-saving resources, and strengthening support for individuals and families affected by substance abuse disorders. Now, therefore, be resolved by the Board of County Commissioners of St. Lucie County, Florida, does hereby proclaim June 6, 2026 as Revive Awareness Day in St. Lucie County, Florida, and encourages all residents, healthcare providers, community organizations, and local businesses to participate in activities that promote overdose prevention, recovery support, and community healing. Passed and duly adopted the second day of June 2026.
Is there a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We have Michelle Peasley with the Department of Health with us to accept this proclamation. Good evening.
Good evening to everyone. My name is Joville Wharton, and I am with the Florida Department of Health, the Opioid Abatement Program. And this is Michelle Peasley, also with the Florida Department of Health. So on behalf of the Department of Health of St. Lucie County and our community partners, we are very honored to accept this proclamation for Revive Awareness Day. June 6th is a day of remembrance, hope, and action. It honors the lives lost to opioid overdose, supports those in recovery, and strengthens our commitment to education and access to naloxone. This year, our community will commemorate the day with a tree planting ceremony on Saturday, June 6, 2026, from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. at the Paula A. Lewis Library. The tree we plant together will serve as a living memorial symbolizing healing, resilience, and the hope we continue to grow in St. Lucie County. After the ceremony, the County Environmental Department will provide free tree seedlings to anyone in attendance, and DOH St. Lucie will provide free naloxone kits. Another step towards empowering our community with life-saving tools. So once again, thank you for recognizing Revive Awareness Day and for standing with us as we work to save lives and support families across our community. We do have some flyers for anyone who wants to attend Saturday's ceremony.
Okay, perfect.
Thank
And
you.
is it all day Saturday or is there a specific time?
10 a.m.
10
to
a.m.
11 a.m.
10 to 11.
We'll have the ceremony, and I know many of you will be there because you received invitations and you've accepted, so we look forward to having you. And then right after the ceremony, we will be providing the tree seedlings and the naloxone.
Okay, excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for being here. If you'd like to come up and we'll do a photo. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
All right, and with that, I need approval of the minutes for May 12th, May 13th, and May 19th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and the second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda, is there anything anyone wants to pull? If not, I'll accept a motion.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, so we're going to start off with the regular agenda item, the Serenoa final site plan. Good evening, everyone. Have a good night.
Madam Chair, you forgot to do the approval agenda. I don't know if that, Catherine, did she have to do that? Because she didn't call that line item. The motion for the agenda approval. It's item, I apologize, I
after we
didn't hear
did,
that. I don't know that it, like, you have to do it, Commissioner Fowler, but it's a part of the agenda. We've always done it, so I don't know that it matters. It would
We
be
went straight from
preferable,
recess,
yeah.
So is there a motion for the approval of the agenda with the additions, deletions, and revisions?
Move
Motion to
approval.
approve the agenda.
Okay, motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Good evening, Thad and Corey. And even though this is a regular agenda item, this is quasi judicial, so I'll start, Commissioner Klasky, with your disclosures.
Yes, I've spoke with staff and the applicant and members of the public.
Commissioner Lowry?
Yep. Staff, applicant, and resident.
I am Leah Heiselman, Bob Rains, Jeff Clemens, Vincent Musso, and Michael Debach, along with planning staff.
And I have spoken with Leah Heiselman, Vince Musso, Bob Rains, and staff.
And I have spoken with Bob Rains, Leah Hazelman, Vince Musso, some other residents and staff.
Okay, floor is yours. Thank you.
Madam Chair, Commissioners, Thad Crow, Senior Planner with the Record Planning and Development Services Department. This is a final major site plan, and it's important to stress the fact that this is basically determining compliance with the previously approved preliminary development site plan of the planned development. And we'll try to move this pretty quickly because I know you've seen it before. It's familiar to you. This is the former NVR Ryan Homes project that came in with two pods, one being single family on the east and the other being townhome on the west. It's evolved over time to have a pretty drastic reduction of units, mostly by changing it all to single family and eliminating the townhome component. Future land use map is residential urban category that allows up to 5 units per acre in the comp plan. The zoning is PUD, of course, known as Serenoa. And this is just a contextual map which shows we do have a lot of development activity in this area. This is kind of on the fringe. When you cross the turnpike, essentially, you're out of the urban service area, and so we're seeing some concentrated growth in this area. Sunnyland, as you know, was on the agenda, but it's just been postponed again. But we also had Pineapple Grove to the east, Eagle Bend also to the east, and the existing Morningside PUD to the south. Again, 2 parcels, a total of 113 acres, 319 units. The east pod on the right-hand side, 218 single-family homes, and the west pod, 101. They're all 50-foot wide lots. Each one has an amenity parcel. Sorry that this is a fuzzy slide, but it kind of gives you a perspective of the retention ponds, the street layout, the amenity parcels, and the project entrance. The arterial A winds through the central part, separating the pods, a future roadway. Certainly not funded at this point in time, but planned, long-range plan. And you can kind of see that the applicant has agreed to make temporary use of a linear park, a natural area, which I think will be a real bonus to the community. Open space, we like to see PUDs that exceed the open space requirement. The minimum they could have was about 40 acres. Yes, about 40 acres, and they're providing 51 acres. So we do exceed the open space. You can kind of see it's tied up in the retention ponds and the preserve area at the southeast corner. We've encouraged them to activate the ponds with trails and gazebos and benches, walking areas to make them more of a recreational element. In terms of buffers, it exceeds minimum requirements. Generally, the required buffers are around 15 feet. This is a critical point for better buffers with the turnpike and the future arterial A, as well as Angle Road. So the buffers do exceed what is required. Along Angle, a 30-foot buffer, a huge buffer to the south, accomplished by the preserve of several hundred feet. To the east, a 30-foot wide buffer fronting the homes on Old FFA Road with a berm, which will help screen the development. And there's a home up there where you see the words Rec 7, just adjacent to that, an existing home that will be buffered with a 30-foot buffer with a wall. There's a generous 40-foot buffer and 60-foot buffer along the turnpike, and arterial A also has 40-foot buffers. These buffers will be heavily planted in what we call the closed forest effect, which is a varying heights of evergreen vegetation that help to reduce noise, capture fumes, and improve the appearance of the development. And before I leave that slide, the upper left is an example of that closed forest effect. Lots of plantings, dense plantings. The preserve area, I think, is a real highlight of the development. It is a 17-acre upland preservation area that also includes restoration areas. We've got mature pines, oaks, cabbage palms. It is open to what we call the walking public, so it's not just for the development, it's for nearby residents who want to enjoy nature. And essentially, it's not shown on the map, but the trail system will include a perimeter trail around that preserve and then kind of an X to connect the corners. So there's lots of opportunities for walking and enjoying the outdoors with this. Lot typicals, again, 50-foot lot. Setbacks ranging from 22 to 27 feet, although front porches can exceed into the front setback. We provide this as an incentive for these front porches, which we believe increase walkability, communication between neighbors, and the appearance of the homes. Standard 10-foot rear setback, 5-foot side setback. These lots are 50 by 110 feet. Street sections, again, you can see the travel lanes with a gutter on the side, and then a tree lawn, what we call a tree lawn with street trees in it, that will shade the sidewalk adjacent to it as well as the travel lanes and provide eventually a shady, comfortable street and slow traffic down. We've been working on what we call the anti-monotony effect, which is essentially improving the way things look and avoiding the cookie cutter problem that we have seen in some developments. So one element is that homes across from each other and adjacent to each other have to be different models, essentially, elevations. Also, we talked about we have in play a recession, which we'll talk about later in the conditions, where houses, front setbacks, the front facade of the house essentially shifts backward, projects forward, and it's not this like solid line of front facades going down the street. So we think that's important. Encouraging cottage-style houses. And again, the front porch projection we think is important. And there will be a mix of 1- and 2-story homes, which will also increase visual interest. About 20% of the homes are going to be 2-story. Limiting driveway width so that the front yard is not all pavement. Shade tree spacing of 25 feet, and that'll provide for almost continuous shade and traffic calming. And kind of allowing an alternative to what we see a lot of these white vinyl fences in so many developments, which is essentially those who want to enjoy seeing beyond it with the black aluminum picket fences, particularly if there's a conservation area or a pond and they want to enjoy the view. Stormwater ponds 3 and 6 are activated with shoreline trails, benches, and gazebos, which we think will be a very nice touch and encourage people to get out and enjoy the outdoors. Transportation impacts, I want to emphasize that the traffic study, which actually studied 619 units, and now we're 600, I don't think I have it right, but we're now down to 319 units. So the impacts have considerably been reduced. Our third-party reviewer has certified the traffic study. We're looking at about 3,000 daily trips, around 200 in the morning and around 300 in the evening. Almost everyone goes east on Angle Road, but this project in itself will not result in significant adverse consequences for the roadway network. This just shows kind of where everyone's going. Just 3% are going west. Everyone else is heading on Angle Road or up Johnston Road or Kings Highway. Not to get into the super technical, but the traffic study has carried over from the PUD, and again, impacts have been reduced, and all the intersections in the study area are expected to operate an acceptable level of service. In the build-out, this is going 2026, maybe that's ambitious, but a lot of our projects we see expect to pretty much develop fairly quickly. And I think this is something that's critical in this area, which is there's a lack of connectivity due to Turnpike and 95 between Angle and Orange, and this roadway network, this project is actually adjacent to Old FFA Road, which staff feels is an important link to the school to the south and to Orange Avenue as well to the south through the Sunnyland development. So we have put in the conditions of approval, conditions that will make it possible, should that connection be made, to continue this roadway to provide sidewalks and a safe pedestrian and driving environment. In summary, the final site plan is in keeping with the approved preliminary site plan and the comprehensive plan and land development code. Recommend approval with the following conditions, and I'm going to fly through some of these because these are the ones you see all the time. Vegetation, that's ERD, requires a tree removal permit essentially before any development commences. Also a executed conservation easement and the preserve area plan with the affidavit and cashier's check. And also prior to development, a listed species survey is required. And mitigative measures need to be outlined. ERP, environmental resource permit from the Water Management District, shall be provided to verify wetlands, and wetland waiver application may be required if it deviates from what the environmental consultant has said. Prior to COs, all invasive plants shall be eradicated. Prior to the Phase 2 60th certificate of occupancy, and this is Phase 2, the western pod, a multi-use path shall be developed between the pods, connecting those pods across the future arterial A. And we discussed the linear park before the closeout of Phase 1. 60% of the linear park improvements shall be completed. We're talking walking trails and benches and other recreational elements. We are requiring an amenity plan, number 4 condition, prior to the first CO, and by code, at least one of these amenity parcels has to be completed or a bond posted prior to any building permits of more than 40% of the approved units. It's all an exercise in math these days. That's 128 units. That's the trigger for the required amenity center being there to serve the residents. Condition 5, this one we have essentially worked with the applicant to come to a mutual understanding, and we have said in this rendering that this is the facade variation, essentially the front facade variation. At least one of every 5 consecutive lots along the street shall have that setback. So it's either going to be set back or brought forward, and that's going to provide some differing visual cues. Minimum driveway for all lots remains 22 feet. And prior to any building permits, the applicant shall provide for planting plans between lots to reduce the monotony and bring some green vegetation into the equation. Pet waste station, we're seeing this as being more important. So many people have dogs these days, so the applicant has done a good job of providing for strategic locations for dog walkers at their convenience. It's a health issue as well as the right thing to do. And we appreciate the applicant working with us. They will providing at least 2 additional stations so that everyone in the development won't have to walk a long ways and get frustrated and maybe give up on getting the poop bag. Number 8, site plan requires improving Angle Road along the limits of the development on the plan. Also requires improving Old FFA Road to the southern property line, or providing a payment in lieu. And finally, also, we talked about the connection to the south, Old FFA Road. Should that happen, the project is required to make connection and make improvements. Condition 8, the buffers shall be planted, and again, within 2 years, shall achieve 90% opacity, which is kind of like a green wall. So that's a performance standard that has to be met. Property acquisitions requires a maintenance and access agreement for Arterial A for that linear park. And 10, prior to the CO, we are requiring that conveyance of 35-foot of right-of-way for Angle Road and the 160-foot right-of-way for Arterial A. The applicant has agreed to not utilize impact fee credits for the Arterial A land donation. Finally, from Public Works, minimum 6-foot wide sidewalk shall be provided along Angle Road and Old FFA. You all, the board, can authorize the applicant to pay a fee in lieu as an alternative. I think the road improvement agreement and bond will be required for all improvements within the right-of-way. And that completes my presentation. Thank you for your patience, Madam Chair, Commissioners.
Thank you, I appreciate it. Any questions from the board before I bring up the applicant? All right, come on up. Good evening.
Good evening, Board of County Commissioners, Chair Fowler. My name is Leah Heinzelman with Kotler & Hearing, here on behalf of the applicant Ryan Holmes for Sarah Noah at Angle Road. Thank you to staff for their continued coordination through this process, and I will try not to repeat too much of what that is already said. So, as you can see on the screen, our great team that's helped to keep this project moving forward as we coordinated with staff and all the departments to finalize the design. So a quick overview of the project. The approved PUD is roughly 114 acres with an existing future land use of residential urban, allowing for up to 5 dwelling units an acre. This now existing zoning of PUD also allows up to 5 dwelling units an acre. However, we are at 2.8, providing 319 lots. As shown earlier by staff, Sarah Noah is located between Angle Road, Old FFA Road, and adjacent to the Turnpike. For a little more context, our site plan is situated just north of the proposed K-8 school site and to the west of the existing Golden Ponds community and other adjacent residences. As discussed previously, a large component of the PUD design of this site is the future right-of-way for the Arterial A that goes from the city of Port St. Lucie up to Angle Road. This was adopted during our initial design of the community about 2 years ago, and we finalized the site plan. The portion of the site that encompasses the future right-of-way is shown as a passive park for both residents and the public, a design you will see shortly here. So some of the key features in this community are the 2 primary ungated entry areas off Angle Road, one leading into each side of the Arterial A overpass dedication. There are 3 EMS and pedestrian access points. Again, 2 off Angle Road and 1 located in the east portion adjacent to Old FFA that will be a full access connection once FFA is built out. While the future expansion of Arterial A is unknown, the plan does account for the future buffering of the homes that are adjacent to it. The entire site is buffered between the residents and adjacent lots, with over 18 acres of preserved to the southeast corner of the site. This gives a concentrated habitat area for the native wildlife and vegetation that exists today, and there will be public pedestrian connections and trails within the preserved and restored areas. There are also multiple locations throughout the site for viewing vistas to the lakes and amenity areas, creating a walkable, pedestrian-friendly community. Oh. There we go. This slide shows an example of the home product types and typicals that may be used for the community. Most of the lots being on the eastern portion of the site, all 50 feet wide. One of the major concerns of this project was to avoid a monotony between the home lots, and on the screen is our pattern book that we've worked closely with staff on. No same facade will be adjacent to each other, and on top of the different colors and materials, every 5 consecutive lots shall have at least 5 foot forward or behind the adjacent lot from the setback line, ensuring that the driveway length is a minimum of 22 feet. Here's just a quick look at some of the product types being provided, a mix of both 1-story and 2-story homes. And then just here's a look at different areas for each of those buffers, the community amenity area, again, that open preserve area with walking trails and open space, the buffer along the turnpike, and just areas for littoral plantings on those lake shores. So here is the design of the typical turnpike buffer and separation. And then here is the design along Old FFA Road. Again, these are all consistent with the approved PUD, slightly modified just per our approved landscape plan. And then here is the buffer for the adjacent resident to the west side, again, all approved within the PUD. And then here's a look at the design for the Paseo Temporary Park. This will be open to the public and a great amenity for the area as passive recreation site. And then lastly, here's just a look at some of the different neighborhood amenities, signage, how that entry is going to look, and just the walking trails around the parcel. So we agree with staff's recommendation of approval, and we are here to take any questions you all may have.
Great, thanks, Leah. Questions, comments from the board?
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Clausby?
I'd like to thank the applicant for agreeing to bring the property from the 5 units per acre that you're allowed with the RU future land use down to the 2.8. I think that I'm okay with the final site plan being the way it is, primarily because you're situated directly on Arterial A, which is going to be a future, major north-south roadway in St. Lucie County, much needed. So I'd motion for approval of the site plan.
I'll second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you all.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. All right, and now we'll move into our first public hearing for Creekside. And Commissioner Clausby, would you start with your disclosures?
Yes, I spoke with staff on this and the applicant and a couple members of the public.
Commissioner Lowry?
Applicant, staff, and one member of the public on this one.
I've met with Juliet Miscani, Brian Anderson, Mike Dula, and have spoken with the planning and development team.
I have spoke with Mike Dula, Marshall Waller, Jonathan Gomez, Scott Lee, Brian Anderson, and staff.
Staff and Mike Dula.
All right, thanks, Corey.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Corey Benton, the Planning and Zoning Manager for the record, presenting item 14A1, which is a quasi-judicial matter. As was noted, the Board of County Commissioners previously evaluated this proposal at their April 21st, 2026 meeting, passed a motion to continue the hearing to this evening's meeting. Due notice was adequately provided for the April 21st meeting, and as we continue to a date certain, we're continuing and picking up where we left off. As noted, the affected sites are within the overall Creekside PUD, which boasts around 364 acres in total, with pods E and pod F slated for the townhome communities, representing approximately 60 acres of the overall Creekside community, or 255 units. As previously noted, the proposal is to alter the approved townhome lot design for both parcels E and F to include a driveway or increase the driveway width from 10 feet to 16 feet, modifying the overall front yard and green space and landscape area. And it also provides a modified design for the end townhome units to relocate the entry doors to accommodate sidewalk access as needed. Here's a quick snapshot of the proposed plans for both parcels E and F. And this is the driveway comparison exhibit that we previously detailed with the approved 2024 design on the far left side, providing for the 10-foot wide driveways. The central exhibit highlights the staff recommendation initially presented to the applicant and board, in which the aprons at the street would remain 10 feet, but the driveways would then flare and expand out to the 16 feet to provide for additional parking space. Understand the applicant's concerns as to the geometry and turn movements that would cause. On the far right, we had the prior driveway exhibit that the applicant proposed at the previous hearing, and now the modified proposal, in which the applicant is offering to reduce the aprons for 2 of the driveways per building, and we have 6, 7, and 8 unit buildings. That marginal reduction for at least 2 of the units would provide additional green space out toward the street. The applicant is requesting the board to consider that as a viable alternative to staff's recommended exhibits and conditions. Staff would advise to the board, should this alternative be supported and accepted, we would encourage that the board require street trees to be integrated into those widened spaces that are preserved out toward the roadway to support front yard shade and green space enhancement. No other alternatives or modifications are proposed by the applicant at this time. And those are the highlighted areas in which the option of 2 to 4 street trees might be considered. As presented in the staff report, our maintained position is that with the modifications recommended by staff and the conditions of approval, the proposed PUD adjustment would comply with the evaluation standards prescribed in the Land Development Code and the goals, objectives, and policies of the comprehensive plan. Therefore, we're recommending approval with those modifications. As discussed, providing for at least 2 of the driveways at a 10-foot width or transitioning to the apron, ensuring that we have a minimum set of plantings on each of the townhome lots, and ensuring that the street trees are integrated to help offset proposed vehicular use areas. The applicant does have a presentation for you this evening, and staff's available for any questions.
Thank you, Corey. All right. We are ready for the applicant. Good evening.
Good evening, Chair and members of the board. Well, Mike Dula from D.R. Horton representing the applicant. I appreciate all your time this afternoon, and I think Corey went through the meat and potatoes of it, but I'll run through a couple things again. Again, so our originally approved plan was the single-car driveways with the flat facade and a code minimum landscaping plan. Actually, this whole application came about at the request of existing residents in Parcel E. Many of those upfront buildings have been sold, and there are residents living there. And one of the first things we do when people move in is we ask if there's one thing you'd like to change, what would that be? The resounding consensus was, hey, I want to park 2 cars in my driveway next to each other, not on the street, and that's why we're here bringing this change before you. So we worked with staff, and again, yes, as you can see from our proposed plan, a lot of that front yard space was eliminated. In order to kind of make up that landscaping, we integrated those side entries, additional landscaping on the sides, in between the individual car driveways, as well as tree plantings in each of the rear yards. Through coordination with staff, we've reduced those 2 driveways on the south, you can see highlighted in red, to that 10-foot width, and we're amenable to integrating street trees in some of those areas to incorporate plantings in front of those lots. That's our typical planning. You can see this is drastically increased from the originally approved landscape plan. The only other item I will bring up that we discussed with a couple commissioners was concerns about Parcel A and Parcel E circulation. I know as residents are moving into Parcel E, in many of our communities, there's often confusion about what the primary access is and where they're supposed to access and leave through. I know many of the townhome residents have been circulating at least out through Parcel A, and I know that was a concern from Parcel A residents. As a result, we are 100% open to working with staff to install signage and or access controls to ensure that Parcel E residents utilize their primary access, which is highlighted and left on blue there. Our only concern with potentially restricting access entirely between Parcel E and A is that Parcel A residents, we do want to have access to the amenity. We don't want them circulating out onto Okeechobee if we can avoid it. So again, we're more than willing to put in access controls and signage to restrict Parcel E residents from circling through Parcel A, but we would ask that we have the ability to work with staff to install the proper access controls and signage there. Again, I would ask that the board approve this with the 10-foot wide aprons allowing us to plant street trees instead of tapering the driveway within the lot itself. But I'm happy to answer any questions, and I thank you for your time.
All right, thank you, Mike. And actually, I just need to modify my disclosures and add resident Ashley McClure that lives in one of those single-family pods for the record. If there's no questions at the moment, this is public hearing items. Does board want to hold off? Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and open this up. Anyone from the public wanting to address us on this item? Seeing no movement, close public comment. Come back to the board. I will share that after speaking with Ashley. I can understand the concern of the single-family homes having all of these townhomes funneling through them. I do also understand staff's position in not wanting to have all those single-family homes have to go out onto Okeechobee Road to come back in to access the amenity center, and then also that nice nature preserve that's all the way to the west and future park. I would like to see like an access control where your single families can still access through that road, but your townhouse people would be restricted. That would be what I would like to see, and I know that would add a level of comfort to all those single family homeowners in that first pod. So those are my comments. Anyone else?
Have we closed public comment? We closed it, didn't we?
I did.
Yeah. No, I don't have any comments. I'll make a motion to approve with your comments.
Okay. We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Can I just make a quick comment? We got the
Yes.
motion in a second.
Commissioner Clasby, yes.
I just want to make it clear that this project was approved long ago, I believe long before anybody up here was on the board. And we may have had different comments at the time as far as the design and makeup of the community, but in this instance, they came before us to make a couple changes to make the community better. One of them primarily to make the driveways larger. One of my biggest concerns about townhouse communities is parking, so I appreciate them coming forward with that. So that's all I can say.
All right, excellent. All right, so there's a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you very much. And now we go into 322 and 340 Kitterman Road, another quasi-judicial. Commissioner Clasby?
Yes, I've spoke with staff, the applicant, and members of the public.
Jared Purser, WGI, Melissa McKinley, staff Ben and Corey, Tesoro San Jose, and that's it.
I have met with representatives of WGI, including Aaron Lees, Jared Purser, Terso San Jose. I've met with our planning and development team. I've spoken with Kim Collins and also met with Brasilino Felipe, who's the owner of the western parcel.
Excuse me, I've spoken with Jared Purser and Terso San Jose and staff.
And I have spoke with the applicant, Melissa McKinley. There was two other gentlemen on that call, and Kim Collins.
All right, perfect. All right, good evening.
Good evening. Good evening, Chair Fowler and members of the Board of County Commissioners. For the record, my name is Don Ariano, Planner 2 with the Planning and Development Services Department. The applicant is petitioning for rezoning to planned unit development and a preliminary site plan approval of a 117 townhome planned unit development. This item was continued from the May 19th, 2026 BOCC agenda. The 19.58 acre property is located on the north side of Kitterman Road, approximately 1/5 of a mile east of South US Highway 1. The property is within the urban services boundary and is served with capacity available for proposed development through for electric by FPNL, central water and sewer by PSLU, and natural gas by PSLU. The existing land use is residential medium. Properties immediately surrounding include dedicated right-of-way to the south and TU utilities to the north. To the north, RM residential medium and COM commercial to the west, and to the east, RM and CPUD for conservation public. The current zoning for the 19.58 acre parcel consists of two parcels zoned multiple family residential multiple family 5, and residential multiple family 9. The proposed zoning for the parcel is PUD, planned unit development. The property to the north is zoned utilities U. To the west and east are zoned residential multiple family 5, RM5, and the properties to the south are residential multiple family 5, RM9. The preliminary site plan for the PUD consists of 117 townhome units, 4 dry detention tracts totaling 3.26 acres, providing an additional 0.71 acres as a conservation easement and wetland buffer to the existing acre, which includes a 25-foot wetland buffer and conservation easement. The 117 units are spread among 18 buildings with with 4 different building types, which are configured, give me just a moment. 18 buildings with 4 different building types, which have a configuration of 3 different unit lot types. Of those 4 building types, 6 buildings contain 8 units, 1 containing 7 units, 7 containing 6, and 4 containing 5 units. A 0.55 acre neighborhood park is proposed within the southeastern portion of the site. 3 typical lot unit types are proposed, and buildings have a mixed configuration based on the unit count. Development of this density and intensity is required to apply the building spacing formula, though through the planned unit development, applicants can propose their own setbacks and building spacing. It is notable that 40% lot coverage is permissible within the existing zone districts, and that the proposed PUD limits this further by more than having the maximum lot coverage under roof. Total proposed impervious area is 8.15 acres, or 41.8% of the site, which includes building coverage, driveways, roadways, and sidewalks. The maximum building height for the existing zone districts are 35 feet, and the proposed PUD limits this further by imposing a maximum building height of 23 feet and 11 inches, an 11-foot 1-inch reduction. The preliminary site plan accounts for tree mitigation and required 1 tree every 30 linear feet within the required yards. A 15-foot landscape buffer is provided along the southern property line and Kitterman Road, and a 0.55 acre neighborhood park in the southwest corner provides additional screening. The side property lines each have a 10-foot landscape buffer. The north portion of the property will consist of a total of 1.71 acres of conservation area, a conservation easement, and a 25-foot wide wetland buffer, and a proposed raised boardwalk within the required wetland buffer. The raised boardwalk is allowable per policy or comprehensive plan policy 6.1.14.2. It is allowed within any category 3 wetland or wetland buffer. Allows for clearing, constructing of walking trails, construction of boardwalk, catwalks for direct access to water bodies, construction of wildlife management shelters, footbridges, observation decks, or similar structures not requiring dredge or fill for their placement. The applicant's traffic impact analysis provides for a maximum 727 daily trips with a peak AM count of 54 trips and PM count of 64. The analysis indicates that 95% of the projected daily trips generated by the site will flow to and from South US Highway 1 and 5% to and from Leonard Road. The westbound turn lane on Kitterman Road provides 225 feet in total, including 175 feet of storage and a 50-foot taper, followed by an additional 80 feet of existing striping. However, it is recommended that the existing westbound turn lane at US 1 and Kitterman be restriped to add an approximately 50 feet of storage. The 2 crosswalks to the west of the site connect the existing sidewalks along north and south of Kitterman Road along the intersection of Kitterman Road and South US Highway 1. The other at the entrance of the Las Palmas subdivision just to the west. Staff encourages the applicant to consider providing additional off-site improvements within the final development plan to enhance the current pedestrian path by installing an additional sidewalk to the east and a crosswalk at the intersection of Kitterman Road and Leonard Road. The proposed PUD rezoning and preliminary site plan conform to the standards of review as set forth in the St. Lucie County Land Development Code sections 110603 and 110207 and has been found to be consistent with the goals, objectives, and policies of the St. Lucie County Comprehensive Plan. Sorry. Staff recommends that the Board of County Commissioners approve 322 and 340 Kitterman Road Plan Unit Development, Rezoning, and Preliminary Site Plan subject to the following conditions. Final site plan approval, prior to final site plan approval, a finalized landscape plan consistent with LDC 70900 and a finalized tree survey and mitigation plan consistent with LDC 60005 shall be provided to and approved by ERD. The final site plan application shall also provide an updated traffic impact report that includes the committed projected trips from Silver Oaks PUD and any other applicable developments in the vicinity. Prior to final site plan approval, a Category 3 wetland waiver shall be approved by the Environmental Resources Director for the proposed impacts to wetlands number 1 and 2 in accordance with Resolution number 237 and Comprehensive Plan Policy 61144. The developer shall provide an executed conservation easement over all preserved areas along with the approved preserved area monitoring and management plan. Formal and informal wetland jurisdiction determination or an environmental resource permit from the South Florida Water Management District shall be provided to verify the limits of the wetlands. An updated species list and species survey shall be provided per state and or federal survey protocol. The applicant shall conduct a pre-construction meeting with construction personnel, all applicable state and federal regulatory agencies, and environmental resources department staff to verify vegetation and preserved area protection measures. All Category 1 listed invasive species shall be eradicated from the site prior to development or prior to issuance of a certificate of occupancy. The final site plan shall identify the placement of the proposed site lighting and provide a photometric plan illustrating the location and coverage of all streetlights. Prior to completion of required improvements, a subdivision improvement agreement and appropriate bonding is required, and a site development permit is required prior to performing site improvement activities. And that concludes my presentation.
All right. Thank you, Don. I appreciate it. And the applicant is here. Good evening, Jared.
Good evening, Madam Chair and Commissioners. Jared Purser with WGI. Thank you for your time tonight, and also thank you for your time and feedback from you all leading up to tonight. It's greatly appreciated. And to Commissioner Fowler, thank you for your time discussing the site plan and working to address the needs of your district.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for including me in on the process from the very beginning.
Absolutely. It's a better project because of it, and we're excited to present the application to you tonight. Our team would also like to thank staff for being extremely helpful and responsive on the application as well. The site is comprised of 2 parcels on the north side of Kitterman Road, just east of US 1. The zoning on the western parcel is RM5, RM9 on the eastern parcel, and you can see generally surrounded by RM5 and RM9 zoning, and the commercial uses on the west along US 1. To go over what's permitted on the site by right without going in front of the board, the RM9 and RM5 are already zoned for multifamily, up to 9 units and 5 units per acre, for a total of 136 multifamily units. That's over 800 trips, daily trips, traffic, combining those two. And the parking provided would only be 1.27 spaces per unit, required for multifamily rental units on those properties. We're proposing to combine those parcels into one planned unit development for 117 fee simple townhomes that will be for sale for home ownership. The density is just under 6 units per acre. And we're providing significantly more parking than the minimum requirement. You can see, not including the 2-car garages, we're providing 2.1 spaces per unit. If you include the garages, that's 4.1 spaces per unit. And the estimated trips are just over 700 trips daily. The application, as Don went over, is rezoning to the PUD, one PUD for 117 fee simple townhomes. And the reason for the PUD zoning, one, at the top, the townhomes are currently considered multifamily in the county's code. Those land development regulations don't necessarily work for the fee simple townhome product. They're more either geared towards single-family residential or multifamily rentals. So the PUD allows flexibility from the lot width requirements, which would need to be at least 75 feet wide for a residential lot based on the current zoning, and the right-of-way and building spacing formula standards to allow for the proposed product. To provide for the fee simple lots rather than the rental apartments that would not need the relief from those standards. And to combine the parcels into one cohesive development with only one access point on Kitterman Road, rather than multiple access points for the individual parcels. These are excerpts from the comprehensive plan and the staff report. You can see mention of the ongoing growth in the county, population growth spurring housing demand. An adequate mix of safe and sanitary housing is needed to meet the needs of existing and future St. Lucie County residents. That's from the housing element. And then some of the PUD standards in the land development code. You can see A, permit creative approaches to the development of residential land reflecting changes in the technology of land development. We feel this applies to the fee simple townhome product rather than either a rental multifamily or a single family detached residential lot. The PUD allows for the flexibility to provide this home ownership opportunity. That will also be going into a conservation easement, keeping intact and protecting those wetlands on the north. Moving to the southwest corner, we're providing a neighborhood park that will be open to the community, and that's something we worked with Commissioner Fowler on to reinforce that open community feel that is achieved in so many locations in St. Lucie County, and that'll be accessible from the sidewalks along Kitterman Road, and again, open to the surrounding community. Another thing that we worked on with Commissioner Fowler was providing additional separation on the west side from the Las Palmas development. You can see there's the standard landscape buffer and then 50 feet of additional space, open space and dry detention area between the proposed homes and that neighborhood to the west. We're providing 58% open space where the PUD requires a minimum of 35%, so we're well in excess of those minimum requirements. Again, we're not maxing out density. We have a lot of open space, drainage, wetland preservation, neighborhood parks, and that's what those PUD elements within the land development code speak to. The reason for a PUD is clustered housing to preserve environmental resources like those on the north and create amenities like the neighborhood park that you don't see in typical standard developments. Staff has confirmed that the application is consistent with the land development regulations. Benefits from the community: attainable housing, provide attractive, reasonably priced home ownership opportunity instead of just the rental opportunities in other locations. And these are geared for essential workers like police officers, firefighters, teachers, first responders, as well as families and retirees. We have models with the master bedroom on the ground floor, as well as models with the master bedroom on the second floor. So they really appeal to a wide range of ages and demographics for a wide variety of homeowners. Unified and cohesive design, we're combining the parcels again into one cohesive development with one access on Kitterman Road. And we're reducing the density, the number of units, and the traffic on Kitterman Road from what's currently allowed on the property today. Staff recommends approval with conditions. The applicant is in agreement with the conditions of approval. And with that, we're pleased to present the application, and thank you.
Thank you. All right, this is a public hearing item. I'm going to go ahead and open it up to the public. Anyone wishing to address the board on this particular item? Now would be your time. Seeing no movement, I'm going to close public comment and come back to the board. I know I would like to share that obviously this is comprised of two different parcels. It was in the backup, but a little background history. The most eastern parcel back in 2020 was rezoned to RM9. And then it was approved for an 80-unit apartment complex with clubhouse, pool, a two-story manager's building. So there is already entitlements on that eastern portion. They could start digging tomorrow and then just come in and, per your slide, add in another 49 multi-family units on that western piece. So RM5, RM9 zoning, they're coming in under the density that is allowed under the current zoning, not future land use, current zoning. They're not looking for a deviation from the height. I will point out that this is located to multiple schools, 2 fire stations. It's close to shopping. It's on a transit route. It's within the USB. It's an infill project. It's served by FPL and Port St. Lucie for utilities. So do I love that there's going to be more rooftops coming? But you know, I will share that this project meets the code. They're not asking for really any extras other than the exemption from the building spacing formula for the most part, which was already approved again in that earlier approval on that eastern piece. So they did come to me. I've worked with them from the very beginning to try to make this the best project possible, knowing my White City residents very well. And I can tell you, they're very vocal, and you do not see them here this evening, and that should tell you guys everything that you need to know. So for all of those reasons, I will be in approval on this project this evening.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Cosby.
Yeah, I want to also, I think that these are, you won't hear me say this very often, but pretty nice townhomes. 26 feet wide, that's wider than some single-family residences we've been proposed recently. And, you know, the specific area, I think it makes sense. So I would also be in support of it.
Any other questions?
I would like to just make a comment. Y'all mimicked all of my notes.
So you're just going to say ditto?
So I'm just going to say ditto, because even like, you know, Commissioner Cosby, you recognizing the 26-foot wide garages, that's not common. Mm-hmm. And I appreciate the fact that you from the very beginning started with your commissioner that represents, that speaks volumes for your company. A lot of development and developers do not do that. We do know our residents, and when you work with us, this is what happens in the end. And with the area that's already there, it's rental, where this is fee simple. So I think this is a wonderful project, and I appreciate the time and effort you put into it. And again, I hope that moving forward, developers can take a lesson from you and know that it's really, really important to come in and sit down with the commissioner that represents that district, which is why we have districts, because we know our residents. So I want to thank you, because I know that there was a lot put into this. So thank you. I'll make a motion to approve. Nobody else has anything.
But there's a motion, but Commissioner Lowry, I think you had a comment?
Yeah, I just have one comment and question. I mean, I'm in agreement with all the commissioners that spoke so far. The only question I have, and I don't know if it's even been discussed, it kind of dawned on me last night, because Kitterman's a 2-lane road and there's a school already back, Savannah Ridge is down the way. So probably most of these kids will get dropped off at school. They won't need a school bus. But if they're middle school or high school, they may be taking school transportation. And Kitterman's a 2-lane road, wondering how this, is the school bus, have we thought about where the school bus will enter, where they pull off to the side of the road? Only because it's a 2-lane road, it just kind of makes me think if we need to think ahead about that.
Sure. So, great question. The site is designed for the school bus to enter the property, turn around at the roundabout, and then there's a school bus shelter at the access on our driveway near Kitterman Road where the students would get picked up and dropped off from the bus.
Perfect. Thank you.
Madam Chair, if I'm not mistaken, you're also putting in a turning lane, aren't you?
We're extending the turn lane on
Yeah, that's
Kitterman
what I
Road.
figured. I
Yeah.
saw that, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, anyone else? If not, there's a motion.
Second.
Second, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you
Thank you
very
so
much. I
much.
appreciate it. Okay, and we now have Sunnyland Farms. We did get an email just before the meeting that this item is looking to be continued.
You want to open and close it to public
I
comment?
am
We'll go
going
that
to,
route.
I didn't know if, actually, my apologies. Even though we're not going to hear it, let's do our quasi judicial. Yep, I've got Catherine in my head. Commissioner Clasby,
Spoke with staff and the applicant and public about this.
Commissioner Lowry.
Staff and Brian Nolan.
Brian Nolan, planning team, and applicant.
Brian Nolan, Steve Garrett, H.M. Ridgely, and staff.
Brian Nolan, applicant and staff.
Okay. And this is a public hearing item. I'm going to go ahead and open up to the public, anyone wishing to address the board. I will share, since, you know, we came in early in recess for the Citizens Academy certificates. I do know there were several residents that were here that were going to speak, but when they found out it was postponed, they did leave, so I'll just share that. And I see no movement, so we're going to close public comment and come back to the board.
I make a motion to continue. Did they, to continue to, did they have the date they wanted?
July
Did they-
21st at
So they
6
did have the
p.m.
date, all right, so July 21st or thereafter.
Okay.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And Sunnyland 44 will be the same. Even though the first, well, the regular one isn't. Attorney Barbieri, number 4 is not quasi, but 5 is, so we're good to skip? Just want to.
Yes.
Okay. Sunnyland 44, going to go ahead and open it up for public comment. Anyone wishing to address the board? Seeing none, going to close public comment, come back for a motion.
I'll make a motion to move towards the continuance of July 21st meeting or thereafter.
Second.
All right, motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, the proposed Atlas amendment, this is quasi, Commissioner Clasby?
My disclosures are the same as the previous continuation.
Disclosures are the same as well.
Yep, mine are the same as Sunnyland Sunnyland Farms.
And ditto mine are the same.
And mine are the same.
All right, this is public hearing. Anyone wishing to address us on this item? Seeing none, and close public comment. Come
I'll
back
make
to
a
the board.
motion to continue to July 21st or thereafter.
All right.
Second.
Motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you. All right, and with that, we have come to the end of the meeting. Is there commissioner comments? Actually, before really not commissioner comments, but just while I have everyone here, I've got the email from Ms. Walker's office about canvassing board, and I know it's been a minute since we had a conversation. I'm being asked to let them know who the 2 people to fill in are. Before I send that letter, I just wanted to again ask the commissioners up here whether or not, Commissioner Lee and I obviously cannot because we're in an election year, but are there any other commissioners that would like to reconsider or serve on canvassing board?
I'll serve on it. I've done it before, and I think that if you could do a city commissioner as well, and then we'll split it.
I have Stephanie Morgan,
Okay.
who's already committed,
That's
and
perfect.
she's
That way we
made
can
sure to
split
stay
it
out
up.
of everything.
Because it's good for
Yeah.
other elected officials to understand the process.
Madam Chair,
I agree.
I was told I'm ineligible to serve on the canvassing board as I've donated to campaigns.
Yep, absolutely. Okay. Ms. Barbieri, can you just remind us of the rules to serve on canvassing, just to make sure we're all...
Yes, no commission that's active in a participant in a campaign or candidacy can serve on the commission, on the canvassing board. If you were to donate a de minimis amount, then you might still be eligible. But if you're active at all, which could be as simple as putting a bumper sticker on your car, then you'd be ineligible.
Okay. All right, perfect. Then I will go ahead and I'll get with the team tomorrow and we'll get that letter put
Yes,
together.
ma'am. We'll
Thank you.
help
Thank
with
you,
the
Commissioner
draft.
Townsend. All right, Commissioner comments? Commissioner Clasby, anything?
I'm going to hold off on my comments for a second.
Commissioner Lowry, anything?
I'm good, thank you.
Commissioner Lee?
I'd just like to make a comment. Talking with the developers, and I know the board's will seems to be more onto the larger lots. I would like the board consider an informal meeting to discuss possibly the deregulations of sidewalks and maybe curbs to accommodate larger lots in some of these developments as an idea on how to promote them. And that was it.
Okay. Understood. Commissioner Townsend?
I'm good, thank you.
And likewise, I don't have anything. I will just, actually, just for information purposes, because I know everyone, we know multiple people, even outside of our district. So something that's popped up for me, Sun Trail again. Sun Trail, Indian River State's residents, they were adamant when this originally started that they did not want internal access at all. Very adamant, very, very adamant, right? Lots of public outreach. We sort of knew that once it got going, right, people used it, they were probably going to love it and want access. Well, fast forward, we are there. And so you may start getting these emails. I'm starting to have the conversation with the team, right? This is an FDOT project. We need to see, we know we made it clear under FDOT that it would be blocked. So we haven't taken it over from FDOT yet. They still have a punch list of things to fix and correct, but that might be something that we need to discuss as a board here in the near future as to, what does that look like? Do we ask them to do petitions? Do we just include the people on Buchanan? Should it be the whole Indian River State community, which I sort of think it should be, but future conversation coming on that. Just want to give you guys a heads up. So,
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Clasby.
So it took me a second to remember what I wanted to say. The anchoring limitation area is now online and being enforced as of June 1st. We will see, some feedback from that as it goes along. So far, it's received pretty positive feedback from the community and the boating community specifically. I feel like some of them wish we went a little further with enforcement and more strict regulations, but we have to start somewhere. In addition to that, I'm going to forget what I said. As far as, I forgot what I was going to say.
It's okay.
We'll take it.
All right. Well, with that, Mr. Landry, we will segue into you, sir.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you, Commissioner Clasby. So the Board of County Commissioners will hold a joint meeting with the City of Fort Pierce on Thursday, June 18th, beginning at 9 a.m., and it'll be located at the Riverwalk Center, 600 North Indian River Drive in Fort Pierce. And then the Board of County Commissioners will hold a regular meeting on Tuesday, July 7th, 2026 at 6 p.m. here in these commission chambers located at 2300 Virginia Avenue. And the Board of County Commissioners will also be holding an informal meeting on Tuesday, July 14th, 2026 at 9 a.m. here in these commission chambers located at 2300 Virginia Avenue in Fort Pierce. And Eric will close us out.
Thank you, Mr. Landry. Residents are encouraged to celebrate World Oceans Day this Saturday, June 6th, with a family-friendly party featuring crafts, food trucks, music, hands-on activities, and special tours of the St. Lucie County Aquarium and free admission to both the aquarium and the St. Lucie County Regional History Center. Activities takes place at Museum Point Park, located at 420 Seaway Drive, at the foot of the Causeway Bridge on South Hutchinson Island, from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. this Saturday. And then the St. Lucie County's aquatics staff is hosting a variety of swim lessons for children and adults all summer long. Scholarships are available thanks to funding from the Children's Services Council of St. Lucie County and a donation from Sunshine Laundry and the Carol Wyatt WPSL Christmas Kids Foundation, as we heard earlier tonight. For details, they can visit our website at stlucieco.gov/aquatics or call the Ravenswood Pool at 772-871-2183.
All right, thank you. And with that, we are adjourned. Have a great evening, everyone.